As we wrap up this tough season, there's breaking news that has the whole organization on high alert. Our key piece. Their future is on the line. The Eagles just got confirmed. These 3 updates I'm bringing you today are exclusive and will shape how we kick off 2026. News 1. Cliff Kingsbury's future with the Commanders. Let me tell you something that's got the entire Commanders organization shaking right now. Our offensive coordinator, the guy who helped develop Jaden Daniels into this year's offensive Rookie of the Year, is being considered for head coaching jobs around the league. And guess who's interested? According to the latest report from ESPN's Jordan Rannon, the Giants are casting a wide net in their head coach search, and Kingsbury's name is on that list. Now, Rannon says Kingsbury might be on the outside looking in, meaning he's not the top candidate, but he's in the mix. Do you realize how big this is? We're talking about losing the guy who built the offense that made Jaden Daniels a star. Losing Kingsbury would be a major blow to this team. Recover from injuries and gear up for a bounce-back season in 2026. But do you think Kingsbury really wants to leave? So here's the question. How picky is Kingsbury going to be this time? Last year, he was very selective. But now, after a rough season with the Commanders where we finished 4-12, is he going to be just as picky? I think if the right offer comes with the right quarterback, the right situation, he's gone. And that puts you in a terrible spot. Kingsbury isn't just a sharp offensive mind. He's a QB developer. Look at what he did with Kyler Murray in Arizona. Look at what he did with Jaden Daniels this year, even with all the injuries. This guy knows how to get the most out of a mobile quarterback who can sling it. Are the Giants a real threat? Rannon says the question is whether he's the right fit for the New York market. Let me tell you something. Kingsbury's from Texas, coached in Arizona. Now he's in D.C., New York. That's a whole different beast. Does Kingsbury want that pressure? I'm not sure. But here's what I do know. The Tennessee Titans and Las Vegas Raiders are also interested in Kingsbury. We're talking multiple teams that see what we see, a brilliant offensive coordinator who can turn an offense around. And those teams have head coach openings. These aren't just rumors. These are real opportunities. Now, Adam Peters, our GM, needs to be on this right now. He can't wait until after the final game. Because if we lose Kingsbury, we don't just lose an OC, we lose continuity for Jaden Daniels. And in the NFL, continuity is everything for a young quarterback's development. You know what's the most frustrating part? This season doesn't even reflect Kingsbury's true talent. Hamstring and elbow injuries. Marcus Mariota had to step in and went 2-6 as a starter. I believe if Kingsbury stays for 2026 with a healthy Jaden Daniels, the right free agent pickups and draft additions, this offense could be top 5 in the league. But if he leaves, we're starting from scratch. New OC, new terminology, new system. And you know what happens when you change OCS every 2 years? Look at the Jets. Look at the Panthers. It's a mess. So what do we do as fans? Because losing Kingsbury isn't just losing a coach. It's risking Jaden Daniels' future. And are you really willing to gamble that? The good news is, according to the report, Kingsbury is seen as a tier 2 or 3 candidate for the Giants. That means he's not their top choice. But that doesn't mean he can't get the job if their top picks say no. Doesn't it make sense to take a head coaching job now, while his stock is still high thanks to Jaden's Rookie of the Year award? I think it does. And that's what's got me worried. Look, at the end of the day, Kingsbury's got to do what's best for HIM and his family. I get that. But as a Commanders fan, as someone who's watched this team stumble for years, I'm telling you, we cannot lose Kingsbury. Not when we finally have hope. Adam Peters, Dan Quinn, Josh Harris, do whatever IT takes to keep this man in D.C. Do you think Kingsbury stays or leaves? And if he leaves, which team do you think he ends up with? Let me know in the comments because this conversation is on fire right now. News 2. Eagles to rest starters, but if that shocked you, wait till you hear this. I've got mixed feelings about this. Nick Sirianni, the Eagles head coach, explained his thinking on Friday when speaking to reporters. But there is a guarantee I can rest my starters. You hear that? Sirianni is putting health over playoff seeding. And honestly, I can't blame him. Let me break down the Eagles' situation. Philly grabs the number 2 seed in the NFC. That would mean hosting the Green Bay Packers in the wild card round. But if they lose or the Bears win, they drop to the number 3 seed and face either the Los Angeles Rams or San Francisco 49ers. And other starters for a chance at the number 2 seed. Sirianni says no. And I'll say this, he's doing what's best for the Eagles' long-term goals. Considering how inconsistent their offense has been all year, it makes sense why Sirianni doesn't want to risk key players when only seeding is on the line. But you know what ticks me off about this? The Eagles are basically telling us, you're not a threat. They're saying, we can beat you with our backups. And honestly, they probably can. We're 4-12. We've lost 10 of our last 11 games. Josh Johnson, 39 years old, is starting at quarterback, where we proved that even though the season was awful, we're still the Washington Commanders. Still burgundy and gold. Still got something to prove. Now, let's talk about the Detroit Lions for a second. They're 8-8, out of the playoffs. But Lions players have promised they're playing for pride at Soldier Field in Chicago this Sunday. And that makes Sirianni's decision even more interesting. Because look, if the Lions really play hard and beat the Bears and the Eagles lose to us with their backups, Philly still gets the number 2 seed. So Sirianni is betting that even if they lose, the Bears will too. It's a calculated gamble. And honestly, probably the right one. But you know what really gets under my skin? This is just another sign of where we are as a franchise. The Eagles can afford to rest starters against us. We're at the bottom of the NFC East, and that hurts. So let me ask you this. Should we be offended by the Eagles' decision? I think yes. We should use this as motivation. We should come out Sunday and destroy the Eagles' backups. Show them that even though we're not in the playoffs, we still have talent. We still have players who can compete. Because if we can't beat the Eagles' second stringers, what does that say about us? Laramie Tunsil, our starting left tackle, is missing his 3rd straight game. We're rolling out a depleted roster. He doesn't want a Jay Brown going down. He doesn't want to risk anything with the playoffs a week away. And from a head coach's perspective, I get IT. But from a Commanders fan's perspective, I feel disrespected. Let me give you some historical context. The Eagles have OWNED this division in recent years. They went to the Super Bowl a couple seasons ago. They've been in the playoffs consistently. Meanwhile, we've been struggling. So when they rest starters against us, it's like they're saying, you're not on our level. And honestly, we're not. But that doesn't mean it doesn't sting to hear it. And you know what's the craziest part of all this? DraftKings Sportsbook has the Eagles as 3-point favorites at home for this game. 3 points. Against their backups. That means the sportsbooks think the Eagles' second stringers are better than our full roster. Doesn't that tell you everything you need to know about where we are as a team? I'll say this. Adam Peters has a lot of work to do this offseason. We need depth. We need players who can step in when starters go down and still compete. Because what happened this year, where we lost Jaden and the whole season fell apart, can't happen again. And speaking of the playoffs, the Eagles will face the Packers as the number 2 seed or the Rams 49ers as the number 3. Honestly, I don't know what's better for them. The Packers are 9-6-1, playing solid football. The Rams are 11-5. The 49ers are 12-4. ALL, those teams are dangerous. So maybe Sirianni's right. Maybe seeding doesn't matter that much. I'd love to see our young players shine. I'd love to see Josh Johnson, even at 39, come out and have a great game. I'd love to see our defense, which has been a WFUL this year, force some turnovers. I'd love to see something that gives us hope for 2026. Let me know in the comments. I want to hear what you think. Marcus Mariota, Our backup QB has officially been ruled out for the second week in a row due to hand and quad injuries. Dan Quinn, our head coach, confirmed Mariota's status on Friday when speaking to reporters. Jaden Daniels, our starter, and the 2024 Offensive Rookie of the Year, was shut down for the season on December 15th after playing in just 7 games due to knee, hamstring, and elbow injuries. And you know what? I really feel for this guy. And now, at 39, he's starting games for a 4-12 team in his first start since 2021. And that's the frustrating part. Johnson did what he could, but at the end of the day, he's a 39-year-old third-string quarterback. We can't expect him to be Patrick Mahomes. 13 touchdowns and 17 interceptions. He's also rushed for 436 yards and 1 touchdown. That's what you expect from someone who steps in when the starter goes down and tries to keep the ship afloat, not someone who's going to carry you to the playoffs. And look, I'm not blaming Johnson. He's doing his job. We should have Jaden Daniels healthy, throwing touchdowns, leading this team into the playoffs. But instead, here we are, 4-12. Josh Johnson under center. Now let's talk about Marcus Mariota for a second. He's 32, played in 11 games filling in for Daniels, and went 2-6 as a starter. 695 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 7 picks. He also ran 50 times for 297 yards and 1 score. Are those terrible stats? Not really. But 2-6 as a starter is ROUGH, and part of that isn't on Mariota. Our roster is beat up. Our offensive line has been inconsistent. Our defense has been one of the worst in the league. So Mariota was trying to do too much, trying to be the hero, and it just didn't work. And now Mariota's hurt. Hand and quad injuries. 2 things that basically make it impossible to play quarterback. So we're rolling with Johnson. And honestly, I don't expect us to win this Sunday against the Eagles. Even with their backups, they've got more talent than we do right now. And that's just the reality of where we are as a franchise. But here's the question that really matters. What does all this tell us about 2026? I'll tell you it tells us we need depth at quarterback. We can't go in the next season with Jaden Daniels as our only viable option. We need a real backup. Someone who, if Jaden goes down, can step in and win games. Mariota clearly isn't that guy. Johnson definitely isn't that guy. So Adam Peters needs to find someone this offseason. And you know what's the most frustrating part of all this? This season ruined Jaden Daniels' development. He played just 7 games. 7. How is a rookie quarterback supposed to grow when he only plays 7 games? He needs reps. He needs experience. He needs to learn from mistakes. But instead, he spent most of the season on the training table, recovering from injuries. And now I ask you this. Should we have let Jaden play more? Should we have risked his long-term health for a lost season? I say nitrogen monoxide. I think Dan Quinn and Adam Peters made the right call shutting him down. Because if Jaden had gotten hurt even worse, we might be talking about a career-altering injury, and that would have been devastating. So even though this season was awful, even though we finished 4-12, even though Josh Johnson is starting in Week 18, I believe we did the right thing protecting Jaden, because he is our future. He is the reason we have hope. He is the franchise quarterback we've been waiting for years. And we can't risk that for a meaningless game against the Eagles. Now, Dan Quinn also announced that starting left tackle Laremy Tunsil will miss his 3rd straight game this Sunday due to an oblique injury. So not only are we without our top 2 quarterbacks, we're also without our starting left tackle. How is Josh Johnson supposed to succeed with no protection? How is our offense supposed to function missing so many starters? The answer is, IT can't. And that's what makes this Sunday's game so hard to watch, because I know we're going to lose. IKNOW, the Eagles, even with backups, will probably beat us. And that hurts. It hurts to know we're this far from being competitive. It hurts to know this season was a waste. It hurts to know that after all the excitement last year with Jaden winning Rookie of the Year, we ended up 4-12. But you know what? There's a light at the end of the tunnel. Jaden will be back in 2026. He'll be healthy. He'll have a full off-season to train. He'll have Cliff Kingsbury, hopefully still as his offensive coordinator. And with the right free agent signings and draft picks, this team can be competitive again. I'm not saying we're winning the Super Bowl, but we can be a playoff team. We can be a team people respect. So even though this Sunday is going to be tough to watch, even though Josh Johnson will probably struggle, even though we're likely to lose, I'm telling you, don't lose faith. This organization is heading in the right direction. Adam Peters is a brilliant GM. Dan Quinn is a solid coach. Jaden Daniels is a franchise QB. We've got the pieces. We just need health and time. And speaking of Josh Johnson, I really respect this man. 39 years old, still in the league, still competing, still trying to help his team win. That's a pro. That's someone who loves the game. That's someone who doesn't quit. And even though he's not our future, I respect what he's doing. So this Sunday, when Johnson takes the field, I'll be cheering for him. I'll be hoping he has a great game, because he deserves it. The Commanders have lost 10 of their last 11 games after starting 3-2. This has been a nightmare season. But like I said before, there's hope. There's light at the end of the tunnel. And as fans of the Commanders, as Burgundy and Gold Nation, we need to keep the faith. Because better days are coming. We just have to be patient. Do you think Josh Johnson can give us a win this Sunday against the Eagles? Or do you think this season just needs to end so we can focus on 2026? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear what you think. Look, Commanders Nation, these 3 stories I just gave you are critical to understanding where we are as a franchise and where we're headed. Cliff Kingsbury's future. The Eagles disrespecting us by resting starters. And Josh Johnson starting at 39, all of it paints a picture of a season we want to forget, but need to learn from. Is Kingsbury staying or heading to the Giants, Titans, or Raiders? Should we be offended by the Eagles' decision? Can Josh Johnson give us something to be proud of in the final game of the season? I want to hear all your thoughts in the comments. What do you think is going to happen? What do you want to happen? And if you're a true Commanders fan, if you bleed burgundy and gold like I do, then you need to subscribe to this channel right now, because I bring you the most exclusive news, the deepest analysis, and the most authentic passion of any Commanders channel on YouTube. You won't regret it. Hit like on this video if you want Kingsbury to stay. Hit LIK if you're ready for this season to be over. Hit LIK if you believe in Jaden Daniels' future. And share this video with every Commanders fan you know, because this info is too important to miss. I'll see you in the next video, where I'll be breaking down the Eagles game and everything that goes down on Black Monday when teams start making coaching changes. You do not want to miss that. Until then, keep the faith, keep the hope alive, and remember better days are coming for Burgundy and Gold Nation. And remember, hail to the Redskins!